And the very first experience of going to Parents Helping Parents was I were just full of questions of what is it we're looking at in our daughter's behavior, and Parents Helping Parents with the kind of knowledgeable speakers and wealth of experience in the room help us identify pretty quickly that we were looking at addictive behavior.
When I first came to Parents Helping Parents, to be honest, had some discomfort. I don't know, maybe it was partly because I was still in denial about my son's addiction, possibly because being a man, it's hard to open up about some of these issues. But the good thing about Parents Helping Parents is you do not have to say anything. You can sit and observe. Afterwards, you can visit with people in the group and have fellowship that way. And over time, actually, now I find it's a comforting place to go to, a place where you can seek out a lot of answers, hear key opinion leaders in the treatment of addiction and recovery. And for me, if anything, it's a part of my personal journey, my personal recovery in my program, which ultimately has helped me as a parent of a son of an addict.
The first Parents Helping Parents that we went to, I don't remember which speaker it was, but they just talked about how addiction is a disease, and information that we had never really considered because we didn't realize the scope of addiction.
One of the first things I did was research the internet, and the internet is just full of people trying to sell their programs, and there's no way you can tell whether those are the right programs for your child or your loved one. And so it really helps to go to Parents Helping Parents because you can speak to other parents who perhaps tried some of those programs or know other programs that have worked for them.
But we had been aware of Parents Helping Parents for a while. We were getting the newsletter in the mail, and we're very impressed with the articles that were in there, and it was clearly an organization that had some knowledge and experience that we wanted to avail ourselves of, and so it was a pretty easy decision to go to a meeting and begin to ask some of the questions we had about what we were seeing and what we might do in response.
Well, I think that parents need to understand that their loved one has a disease, and they need to know that they're not alone, that there is help out there, that there are many directions they need to go in, but in order for that to happen, they need to be better informed, and that's what Parents Helping Parents can do.
I can understand why some people might think this is a very private matter if their child or loved one has a drug problem. But they need to understand that by going to a Parents Helping Parents meeting, there are other people, everyone there is in the same position, and you're never going to find a better support group.
Well, we were scared to death when we first started identifying that truly was some kind of involvement with drugs that had created the behaviors that we were seeing. And when we first came in the room, you know, we were hearing not only from really knowledgeable speakers, but from other parents in the room who had been through it, who seemed to have survived. And that really made a big difference to us, to begin to converse after meetings with parents who had been through it and were very willing to share their story and where they found help and what they did. And we began taking some of those steps. And our daughter did get into a treatment program, which was just wonderful. Helped her address her addiction, and when she came out the other end, she began working her program as we, as parents, worked our own program because you know, we had learned it was definitely a family thing, and altogether it has allowed her to achieve recovery and regain her life, and she's 4.5 years clean and sober now, which we celebrate every day.
Well, when I first came to a Parents Helping Parents meeting, several parents immediately came up and introduced themselves. There's no, I can't think of the word, but there's no pressure to reveal your last name or anything personal about yourself. They just want to make you feel welcome and know that they're there to help you should you ask for their help, and to let you know that this group is there for you. I felt comfortable from the very first meeting.
What happens to us in our culture, I think, is that we think we should be able to manage things by ourselves, and that we shouldn't have to go to other people, you know, for help. And so when things we weren't managing things in the best way, that no matter what we did, things weren't working. So we did get outside help, and it helps to broaden the community of help for her and for us. So for us, 12 steps, her going to treatment, and 12-step groups have just been an integral part of our recovery as a family.
What you might expect from the meeting is you might have the idea that you're going to go to a lecture, but it's not a lecture. It's more like getting advice from your most trusted mentor, with other people's, shaped by other people's opinions who have had similar experiences to yours. It's a very powerful transformative experience to go to these meetings and walk out better informed with a better idea of what you can do with your life, where you might have been sitting in neutral for months and months. And it's a tremendous relief for people to just find a direction in which they can move.
That's, for me, has been what's been invaluable about attending programs like Parents Helping Parents, is knowing you're not alone, and wonderful people that you meet in the journey, with recovery. And
one thing I find surprising about the people of Parents Helping Parents meetings is that there's so many people there whose children are in recovery, and they've made the journey, and probably I would feel like their child is in a safe place and maybe they don't need the meeting anymore, but they come to support the rest of us who most definitely do need their help.
Well, Parents Helping Parents is a place where you're not judged. We're all equal. We're all having bumps about the addiction, and we're having to learn more about the addiction. But more than anything, there's no judgment. So it's safe to ask questions and not know anything.
You have to call on the collective experience of the people in the room, many of whom have had experiences over years and years, in order to get the information you need to be productive as a parent and to help your loved ones.
I would just like to say that when you have a child who you may just suspect they're experimenting with drugs, immediately go to a Parents Helping Parents meeting, because you need to be educated, because it may not and most likely will not just stop with that experimentation. And if your child develops a serious drug problem, it can be so devastating. But by going and educating yourself, then perhaps you can help your child early on.
As we met with the psychiatrist, he told us that our son was using meth. All of a sudden, we were in a whole new ball game, a whole new playing field, and we didn't know the rules.
Well, Parents Helping Parents is that place to go when you don't know what to do. And when you find yourself waking in the night and stewing and worrying and wondering what it is you're seeing in your kid that's different and doesn't look right and good, and you don't know who to ask or where to find answers, Parents Helping Parents is that place where there are a lot of folk to share their experience, hope, and strength.
a parent can find themselves in a corner that they can't think their way out of. Most of us are used to being able to apply logic to a situation. In this case, the logic doesn't apply. And so they provide objectivity. The other people in the room have lived through similar experiences to the ones you're experiencing. It's easy to fall into the rut where you think you're the only person that's ever had this experience, and as a result, just kind of lock up, and they can help you get moving again. The people in the room can help you get moving again because they know what you've gone through because they too have experienced it.
Well, I'd like to say that most of the time when you have a son or daughter that's behaving in ways that are out of your comfort zone, I guess, and you're bewildered, there's a sense of, there really is denial, because you want to think it's depression or any other thing, or this problem or school or the boyfriend, the girlfriend, and you walk in blind, and other people know. When you start to describe what's going on, other parents can, you know, readily, they recognize that this is possibly, you know, a journey into addiction.
And when you suspect that it is addiction, there is a kind of attachment of shame in our culture that keeps you isolated and wanting to keep it within your family and wanting you to deny the whole thing. And Parents Helping Parents is a place to begin to let go of that shame and understand the disease nature of addiction.
When my son first approached me and told me he had a drug problem, and I shared it with my family, the blame immediately went to me. I blamed myself, but then my family blamed me too. I must have done something wrong. But by attending Parents Helping Parents meetings, I learned that I am not to blame, but there are things I can do to mitigate what he has done to himself. It teaches you about codependency and enabling, and one of the most valuable things I learned was not to enable my son.
One Parent Helping Parent topic. I went to the meeting by myself that night because Rod was picking up his mom from the airport, and this speaker was talking about how you can help your child the most, to not be enabling them, to help them be on their own. And he made a comment about the child being, your child living in your back room. So I raised my hand, spoke up, asked a question, and said, I'm one of those parents who the child is in the back room. And this particular speaker, excellent speaker, he's a big man, and he leaned over the podium out towards me, and he just let me have it about, why are you doing this to your child? Why are you killing your child? And because of the way we were enabling him. Everyone in the room was just kind of like, oh. And no one really knew how to react. But yet, I am so thankful for this man because he confronted me with the truth, that we were still enabling our son.
I think the one thing, when she told me about it later, I was mad at him for, you know, attacking my wife like that. You know, here we are trying to help our son again, you know, and he's saying, why are you letting him live with you? And I was like, we're trying to help. But then the statement of, well, what if he dies in your back room? As easy as he can die on the streets. And that kind of hit me like a ton of bricks. And it's like, well, yeah. I mean, he's already stolen drugs from us, so, you know, just from our personal prescription stuff. So I think that's when it hit home to me that maybe this guy wasn't such a kook after all, that he did know what he was talking about, you know. And so.
I think that one of the problems is with extended family members of an addict, they don't understand the true nature of the disease, that it is a disease, it's a chronic brain disease. They just think it's something the addict chose and the addict continues to choose. and it's hard for them to be supportive. But if they could come to a meeting like Parents Helping Parents, they would be able to educate themselves and be of more support to the family member and the addict.
We utilize all the resources we can. We go to Parents Helping Parents regularly, and we go to the support group that is held at the Mission Academy that's through Oklahoma Outreach. And we go to, or I go to Al-Anon, and Al-Anon just really touches me very deeply in ways I never imagined that it would, to identify issues of recovery that I needed to look at and step out and take risks and be supportive. So anyway, Al-Anon has been especially touching to my heart.
We have availed ourselves of 3 different kinds of experiences which have been invaluable to us in our own recovery and in supporting our daughter in her recovery. And Parents Helping Parents has been a really important source of information, good information, and very knowledgeable speakers from all over the community addressing all aspects of addiction and treatment and recovery. And then our parent support group through Oklahoma Outreach has been very much an open conversation about problem solving and experiences of others, and a place to be safe with your emotions and so forth. And then Al-Anon, of course, is a 12-step principled program that allows us to garner the strength and the hope to continue day by day living the life of recovery.
When one gets affected by an illness like addiction, it can paralyze you into inaction, and you just sit around and worry and think about all the horrible things that can happen to your kid. And Parents Helping Parents has helped me by giving me the information to work my way out of that, and giving me also the support group of people who are in similar situations, and has allowed me to sort of put myself back on the road to life again.
I wish I'd come to Parents Helping Parents at the very beginning of my son's addiction so that I would know about the resources, the different types of treatment plans. There are so many resources, there's so much help out there available to parents that I did not know about, and I just fumbled along for a little while. But once I found Parents Helping Parents, I found out that there were other ways I could have helped my son.
Parents Helping Parents has helped me because I suffered from a paralysis that I had as a result of being excessively, obsessively worried about my loved one who has the illness of addiction. And I needed the information that Parents Helping Parents provided me, and also the support that they have provided me to get back on the road to being a productive person, which has helped me improve my life, but also be of more help to the addict in our family.
I've checked out a book from the Parents Helping Parents meeting, just one book, but that book really hit home and helped me a lot in my journey. The information in the book supported me in that it was a mother whose son struggled somewhat along the same lines as my son, and her personal experiences and her journey paralleled my journey.
My advice to anyone that's new into the disease of addiction, that's thinking about attending a Parents Helping Parents meeting, it is the hardest thing. It's probably the first time you step in the door and you know, everybody stops, and not to be rude and stare at you, but it's because you're new and they want to reach out to you and welcome you to the group. And that is the hardest thing, but after that, each time you go afterwards, you feel the camaraderie and the connection of everybody in the group, and more than willing to open their arms and welcome you into Parents Helping Parents meeting. And for me, that's been very rewarding. So I would encourage anyone to call anyone that's an active member of Parents Helping Parents and ask them to take you.
One of the resources I gained from Parents Helping Parents was the name of a counselor whom I started visiting with, and my daughter was having a very hard time with her brother's addiction, so she agreed to go visit this counselor, and he has helped her immensely in understanding and dealing with the ramifications.
We have said, and those out, who have not been a part of the process think you're a little bit crazy, but we have received the addiction of our daughter as a kind of gift in a way. It is a gift that in addressing it and seeking recovery has returned better communication to us as a family, not only with our daughter, but among ourselves as we've focused together. It is also a gift of faith because we've always been, I am a minister, and I proclaim that message, you know, every Sunday, and live through a lot of things with people, but there are few experiences more deeply felt than to have your child in such a destructive downward spiral, and you rediscover and reaffirm that only trusting in God, you know, allows you to step through it and to do it together. So there are many things that you find you're just strengthened all the way around by the experience.
I think God respects, you know, our journey. God wants us to be the best that we can, and we have to figure that out. We have to figure out how to live that out. And I think that all of this means that we also respect her journey, that she's going to make mistakes and fall, and there's things that we cannot do it for her. You know, just as you can't ride the bicycle for her. She has to ride the bicycle, she falls, she has to get up, she has to figure out how that feels for her body. So we you know, I think respecting each other's journey as being very individual, I think is really important, and being able to talk about that without judgment.